Hey guys, it's me, Gavin Vengeance, and today we're going to reminisce about Final Fantasy IV for the SNES. This game has had a huge impact on my life, and actually my taste in video games as a whole. RPGs, obviously, a big part of my past, my history with games, and Final Fantasy II for the US release, aka Final Fantasy IV, as I'm sure you guys all know by now. That was that was the second game that I ever played that was an RPG. Initially I played Final Fantasy VI first, but I got to a certain point, and I'll get to this later on, I'm sure, but I got to a certain point where I got stuck. So the only other game that I'd seen that was relatively similar to it, where I used to go to like the video game rental store, was Final Fantasy II, which, like I said, it was released in the US, North America, as Final Fantasy II. But it was actually Final Fantasy IV. So I just remember, picking up that Super Nintendo box, the pink artwork on the front with the sword for the T in the Final Fantasy title, and finally actually, going and renting that game and trying it out. I always did see it was rented out every single time that I try to go and get the game. So it was very, very hard to find a weekend that I was actually able to get my hands on the game, pop it in that Super Nintendo, and just start playing. But I do remember, first trying it out and noticing that, the graphics were downscale from Final Fantasy VI, which I initially played, and not really being too put off by it, but a little bit, just looking at like the overworld sprites and stuff like that. Trying it out, however, and that first opening scene with the airship just heading towards Baron Castle and having Cecil take over and just like destroy the monsters that attack the airship, and him being the commander of the Red Wings and everything just had to start. To me, that was like a badass intro, and it just blew my mind as a teenager. Finally, just trying out these games for the first time and just getting into the RPG genre. But I just remember, really having a strong liking to Dark Knights from that point on, and just, being able to go and destroy everything, not realizing that a lot had been taken out of the version that I was playing from the actual Japanese release. Like, the darkness attacks and everything had been taken out. But just going back and playing something like that there, and actually experiencing for the first time when I was that young, was eye-opening, really, to see storytelling in a video game, and it was some of the finest storytelling that my mind had ever comprehended, I guess, at that point. And then, almost immediately after that, you meet Kane, who's a Dragoon, and I was like, this guy's awesome. He does so much damage with his jump attack, not realizing how much downtime it would actually cost me through the run of the battle, because he'd be up in the air for two whole turns. But just going through the progression of meeting the main cast of the game, and every character is so unique. It's awesome, and to me, like I said, as a teenager, that was crazy to comprehend that a game could be that good. But just meeting the whole cast of characters, and even though Edge came to the party later on in the game, it wasn't really he was still unique. He still had his own style and everything, and I still liked him, but I think that was probably the only thing that threw me off in terms of character development itself, is that when you met Edge, it was just kind of alright, here's a little snippet of his backstory, and then he's part of your party. But other than Edge, aside from that, every other character is so unique. They all have their own style, their own backstory, which you learn more about, going through the game. And I really, really like the storytelling aspect to that game. And that, to me, is what makes Final Fantasy Final Fantasy. So, like I said, going back as a teenager and just trying out the game for the first time, I remember, getting up to, I think they would call him Octomom or something at the time. But, I just remember going there and, having Tellah join your party and everything, and just seeing, how much more powerful he was with his magic, and the elemental weaknesses, water monsters were weak against lightning and stuff like that. To me, I was like, whoa, this is awesome. and like the whole progression with you know, trying to avoid spoilers and everything, but you know, certain characters like leaving your party and other characters joining your party and everything. It was nice to just see so many different roles in battle, like, you know, being able to use Sid and actually like going into the item menu, selecting his Quake tool or whatever, and then all of a sudden, you know, Earthquake gets cast on the, like, all the enemies. It was awesome. The animations were spot on for like the magic effects and stuff like that throughout battle, and it's just I was really taken back by like how awesome this game was. Even though it wasn't my first Final Fantasy played, it was my first Final Fantasy that I've ever beaten, and just, you know, experiencing that whole story, that's something that's going to stick with me for the rest of my life. Final Fantasy IV was fantastic, and I try to like go back and play that game at least once every year. It's definitely worth it. You guys have to check it out if you haven't. Just character progression alone, I mean, Cecil himself, it's awesome. Awesome. Rydia, another character who goes through huge character changes. Rosa also goes through character changes. Every character in this game changes throughout the course of the story. With, like I said, a little bit the exception of Edge, who does still make minor character changes, I guess, or he has minor character growth. But awesome game. I remember getting to the moon for the first time as well, and just being like, holy crap, I'm on a different planet from, you know, the initial one that I started off on. Even though, yes, I know it is just the moon and it's not really technically a planet, but in the game itself, just, you know, going around that and having like the different vehicles that you could use through the game, seeing the scaling of the difficulty of like monsters and stuff that you'd be able to fight, the countless secrets and like hidden treasures and walls that weren't visibly like hidden that you could just walk through the side of and, you know, end up finding a hidden path to powerful equipment and stuff like that. It's awesome. The exploration in it, amazing. But it was such an eye-opener for me to actually play a solid RPG like that, and having it be the very second RPG that I've ever played. It's crazy when you look back at it and just thinking about like how good that game was. I have played the remake for the DS as well, the one that, like, you know, they redid it in 3D and stuff like that. But it still holds up. I mean, it's just pretty much like a graphical overhaul, really, and they added in like, you know, a bonus dungeon and stuff like that. But it's worth taking a look if you're a little bit jarred or put off by the older graphic style of like Super Nintendo. But 100% worth checking out. Definitely among like my top 5 favorite RPGs of all time. Just like I said, just for character progression alone. And not to mention, like, you know, it was one of the first Final Fantasies. Actually, I think it was probably the only Final Fantasy that I can remember that you had 5 party members in your battlefield, or in your party, and like during the battles, you'd have 5 members. 2 people would be in the front, or 3 people would be in the front row, and then the other remaining members would be in the back row. So it was kind of cool how you had to like strategize and set up the roles of your characters, like pretty much like, you know, you have your tanky people out front, your melee DPS, and you have like your healer or your casters in the back row, so that way they take less damage and stuff. So it was kind of cool that it taught you a little bit of strategy throughout the course of the battles as well. But 100% one of my favorite RPGs of all time. And I know I'm repeating myself, but you guys have to check it out if you haven't. Final Fantasy IV it's one of those games that's just legendary, and it will stick with you regardless of how many other RPGs you have played since then. Even if you consider yourself an RPG veteran, I'm sure you played this, but if you haven't, and you do play it, it will still hold up to this day. And like I said, if graphics an issue, get the DS version, or, you know, get it on iPhone or Android. Or I think they might have it on Steam Store. I'm not 100% sure. Don't quote me on that. But definitely check it out. I can literally go on for way more time than this, just talking about the game and how much I love it. But just getting into like the minor details, not really worth it, I guess. Regardless, Final Fantasy IV. Thank you, Square Enix. Thank you. And if you guys agree with me or disagree with me, let me know in the comments below. You guys can also like tweet at me and stuff like that on Twitter, or get a hold of me somewheres on the internet. I'm around everywhere. But yeah, definitely thanks again for watching my videos and everything. And if you guys want to support me, check out my Patreon page. It'd be awesome. It really helps out, and it'll increase the quality of the stream, stuff like that. Maybe I won't be stuttering so much because maybe I'll actually like start scripting my things. But I just like to keep it real, keep it honest, just talk straight from my heart when I'm talking about the experiences that I'm having with these games, and I have a lot of fun doing it too. So I know that there's not many people watching right now, but eventually I'm sure there will be people that will watch, and regardless, I do appreciate every view, guys, and I hope you guys enjoy it too. So if you do, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and leave me a comment. I'll definitely be in the chat, and I'll talk to you guys back too. So thanks again for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care.